The Polestar 2 is a likable electric vehicle, but it lacked some features, for example, efficiency and range. Now they try to upgrade it with the Polestar 2 facelift. Visually, on the outside, you can see this front grille here is now completely closed. I feel that the predecessor looked a little bit better with this black grille, looked sportier. However, Polestar says they want to showcase their technology. See, here is our sensor and the camera and stuff. And we want to say, hey, there's a lot of tech inside. This vehicle color here is called Jupiter. And here is Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with all the details about the Polestar 2 facelift. We'll drive it, efficiency test, and see how much range we can really score this time. Important question always for electric vehicles, does it frunk or not? Yes, it does. So here you have then the space for your charging cable, for example. 4.61 meters or 181 inches is the length of the Polestar 2. A really cool looking side profile, isn't it? And it's also a direct competitor of the Tesla Model 3, which recently was also facelifted. What does the Polestar 2 have against the Model 3 now? Here, the wheels, 19-inch. You could also get 20-inch wheels. You might remember there's also this performance pack available that also gets the suspension a little bit different with performance dampers and so on. We still have this kind of crossover wheel arches here though in the look. Top speed now at 205 kilometers an hour or around 125 miles an hour. Here the design in the rear unchanged with the very slim rear lamps, but a very cool and clean integration and overall a very sporty mid-size or compact sedan look depending on the definition on the market. Now about the efficiency changes. First of all, as for the electric motors, so far there was front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. They now changed that, so the rear-wheel drive version is standard now and the whole motor has been upgraded so it's more efficient. And then once again you can go for an all-wheel drive version, but even then the rear electric motor is the deciding one and the front one can be uncoupled. So a lot of efficiency gains both for the single motor and for the dual motor solution. We have here today the long range model with the rear wheel drive motor only. And that is actually the best choice, I feel. Two battery sizes available, either the small one, 66 kilowatt hours net, that is unchanged. So not that interesting, honestly. The big battery with an upgrade of 4 kilowatt hours, now at 79 kilowatt hours net. And that is actually the version I would go for because it gives you the best range and also the best efficiency. And we'll test it in different driving scenarios today. Our viewers from the Northern American market, they don't have to care about the small battery anyway because it's not available, which is actually, I think, a good choice. Then recharging, also upgraded DC charging now with a 205 kilowatt peak. Turning indicators, really nice how they replace the daytime running light, isn't it? Turning indicators in the rear remind me a little bit of the Model 3, just that they have actually dual elements, so they are more visible. A case for the Autogefühl key fob police, because I like to still have a real key fob, but this one is not really premium worthy, is it? Then door closing sound is also not that good, honestly, but I like a lot of the interior materials, like here this fabric on the top part, and you should just not touch it when you had flour on your hands. Also, why would someone have flour on his hands? Just kidding. Who would do that? And here, soft touch here at the inside of the doors, and here as well, and then there's brighter fabric around here. This is also equipped with the Plus package. And then this inside here, this is hardpack memory seat. It's also part of the Plus package. And the whole interior in this version here is also animal free. Same with the Tesla Model 3. However, Polestar still offers animal skin as an option. That's of course better than with Tesla. Here the steering wheel, although it's high gloss black, they are real ones to press. Steering wheel also vegan. And then these here are the black, outside fabric. Inside, I would say it's like a fabric leatherette mix, something in between, I would call it. So you can get different stylings for that. And getting in the inside, it's actually quite good seating comfort, also for tall people. And here to the very size, like 189, 6'2" for me, and still have some headroom. This one, since it has a Plus package, also equipped with the panoramic roof. It's a fixed one, and it also has no shade. Yes, it is tinted somewhat, but still it does get hot in wintertime. One of the cool features is always that this Polestar logo is being projected a little bit to the panoramic roof. It's always a nice thing just to look at. And frameless rear mirror, by the way, same goes for frameless side mirrors. Look at that. That's always something that, yeah, it increases visibility to me and always looks clean and cool. Interior cockpit overview. Yes, it's a very large middle console, but I somehow also like it because it has this fabric here, the matte wood, a real shifting lever. It offers some more interface than the Tesla still. 360-degree camera is now standard, by the way, because they realized you don't have such a good visibility around here because of the design. Real buttons at the steering wheel. So to me, from the interface, it is still more car, so to speak, than the Tesla Model 3. Do you know what I mean? Digital instruments, which already indicate the upgraded city range, and you can also have the GPS in there. Infotainment system, you see I have a cable here because the Apple CarPlay integration is wired. I feel that's not a disadvantage because the wired one doesn't overheat the phone with the inductive charger and so on, so I'm totally fine with it, and the connection is also more stable. So Apple CarPlay meanwhile available, and this is also good in the overview here. The steering feedback and so on you can easily change in here, so that's actually fine to me. The climate unit you always access here in the lower part, and then here plus minus temperature. Yeah, I'm always a fan of real dials, but overall the system is very quick. And of course you have this native Google Maps integration, and that is quick, responsive and good, and yeah, maybe also saves smartphone data if that's an issue to you. And of course it's good voice input where you can always like say, what's 500 kilometers in miles?
500 kilometers is equal to 310.686 miles.
Yeah, that's always good. I mean, you can always talk to Google Assistant. I think that's such a helpful feature to have. Not only you can communicate with the vehicle, change temperature or something, but you can also add some more information when you're just asking questions, like you're in a city and ask like what is the famous tourist highlight here or something like that. You can always interact with Google. So helpful to have this as a native integration in the vehicle. And by the way, I intentionally did not say, hey, famous search engine, not to trigger it on your phone. This is the inductive charging pad, not cooled though. And here you have these hidden USB-C connectors or chargers, not the most practical solution, I feel. And then you have two cup holders. They are both adaptive actually. Next to the middle console, there is another side storage, by the way. Rear seating, first of all, I like how the rear doors are cut out here, and they also have a better clothing sound than in the front actually. And the material is also with this fabric covering, softer here, and once again the bright fabric, just hardback at the lower part. And you already see when I have the seat as I am driving, it's not too much space actually, but other competitors in the segment are not necessarily better in that respect. Let's see. Yeah, so there's hardly any space left. It does directly fit. For my feet, I would need to lift the seat a little bit more, and also the bench is kind of short. And also here, this back part, you can either fold it or leave it like this. You can't put it more in the back, so I sit extremely upright here, and I feel a little bit too upright. And the headroom is also closed, so the rear area here is not ideal, I would say. I also had an experience here now in a taxi ride, actually one of the very few Polestar 2 taxis here in the Munich area, and it's also not a very pleasant experience here in the rear. I would like to know, because there was some water dripping from the sills in the rear door. Any of you who already own the Polestar 2, do you have any problems with the vehicle? Then feel free to report it in the comments below. Or of course, if you also say, hey, I had no problems at all, please report it. We always seek the real customer reports as well, and then others can profit from that. Lower part in the rear, two USB-C chargers, and also rear seat heating if you have that option. As for the trunk, boot or loading area, first of all you search for a button here. Well, it's placed underneath here, or you can use this foot kick opening mechanism, which usually never works the first time when I'm showing it on camera, but this time it did actually. It's with all the vehicles, you know, it's like this so-called show effect. But this time it works. Hey, it's a really massive cover here. You can of course easily remove that. 400 liters, but it's actually very well usable because you have this good fastback access. 1.40 meters in width, also 1.40 meters in length. That's good. And here I love this splitter here. You can secure the suitcase or the backpacks or so easily, or maybe secure a shopping bag here. So that's a good solution. And underneath here you have even more space, ample of space underneath actually. And of course you can also fold the seats. Starting with city driving, turning indicator sound. It's really unique, right? So very unique sound for the indicator. And now, rear drive only, you accelerate out of the corner and indeed feel sportier. And you always have instant torque here with the electric vehicles, yes. But when you have the rear drive only, in contrast to the front wheel drive only, this is the biggest contrast then, how it was before the facelift, you just get around out of the corners, a little sportier, a little better. So definitely more driving fun with rear-wheel drive only. Also BMW iX here. So this rear drive update, to me, a good thing. Also always good for the turning circle, for example, definitely. You can of course still go for the all-wheel drive version. Then you have this decoupling of the front electric motor, again for efficiency reasons. However, here the rear drive version will still be quick enough. The quickest one would be the one with all-wheel drive and the performance pack, and is overall quite calm at low speeds at least. We'll soon also head to the motorway. 19-inch wheels here. I would not go for bigger wheels because already here, that is similar to the Tesla Model 3, it is a rather stiff and sporty ride. So as long as the road is even, there's no problem. But when there are some bumps in the road and so on, you do feel that. In the front it's quite okay, but even when you sit in the rear, especially when you sit in the rear, it gets more notable. So it is not for someone who wants a very floaty ride. You really feel more the sportiness in this whole Polestar orientation. Steering feel is actually quite good. You might remember from our perspective earlier, you can also change the steering wheel here to very light. That would to me be too light. I like it when it's a little bit firmer with the steering wheel. So yeah, but you can easily choose that. And also with the one pedal drive here, for example, in the low mode, just some slight recuperation. Standard would then be harder recuperation for a one pedal driving feeling. Here, come to a immediate stop or off, then you're just rolling. Yeah, I prefer the low mode at the moment, and then apply the rest of the recuperation with the brake. But that's again a personal preference. The size still feels good in the city. It's not too tall, not too large. It's not too small. It still offers good comfort here on these front driving seats. And remember that when you go for the optional animal skin, that the surface will be stiffer and also less comfortable. So even the ethical aspects aside, it also here offers a practical advantage to go for the non-animal seats here. All right, acceleration onto the German Autobahn from 30 kilometers an hour. Rear drive model, let's go. Woo! 100. 130. Ooh, nice. So you maybe saw there's some like rest rain that was still on the road, so it was a little bit slippery on that, on that drive onto the Autobahn. So initially we had some slip, but of course I always drive on public roads with ESC on, so the car was catching that, and then the real acceleration began. That's of course the thing, when you drive rear-wheel drive only, then you have that thing that the rear wheels are the only power source. The all-wheel drive is of course then safer in a way when accelerating. However, there are not so many situations where you like floor it all the way out, and of course you shouldn't do it when it's wet. Doing this for testing reasons only, although now here already it's kind of dry. It's just a very small piece there. But you see, it does definitely have more performance character with that one. Acceleration figure-wise, here at 6.2 seconds, way more than enough, no problem at all. 4.2, so 2 seconds quicker would then be the all-wheel drive model with the performance pack. Of course, it is even more performance, no doubt about that, but the acceleration here to me is actually quick enough. Interesting as for the efficiency and the range. So in the city, did a lot of city driving today here, city consumption, and also here 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour on the motorway. And that is both kind of almost equal, and we'll end up at about 15 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Here it's a little bit higher because we have the acceleration in there. So it's around 4 miles per kilowatt hour. And that is then actually more than 500 kilometers or 300 miles. So like 530 kilometers or 330 miles. That's of course a very good result now, and day and night if you could compare it to the predecessor. So here both the more efficient drivetrains or the more efficient electric motor and also a little bit more battery capacity, both definitely helps. At 100 kilometers an hour, it's also decently silent, just the raindrops are loud here now. But the overall feeling on the motorway, and also when we have like an even tarmac surface here, is really good, very smooth. Now the 19-inch wheels are no problem. Let's talk about the steering when we are at higher speed here. Lane change, good feeling for the vehicle. No dead zone area. It feels really good in the handling. And we're talking about the difference to the Tesla Model 3. So I said, as for the exterior, it's just personal preference. I like the Polestar 2 more in the styling. Interior, I feel that this one here is more, let's say, a normal standard car, and the Tesla Model 3 is more smartphone on wheels. I like to have more classic interface. Here now the real stall column as for the indicator, a real shifting lever, a volume knob to turn and so on. That's what I prefer. And also handling wise, I just feel that this one just handles a little bit better, So from this likability thing, to me, I do favor the Polestar 2. Last time we did this comparison, I went for the Tesla Model 3 because it offers the better package. Like the overall thing, I had like this verdict emotional Polestar 2, but logic-wise, the Tesla Model 3. I think with the Tesla, it's better that they only offer animal-free materials, and you also have to think about the full equipment that they offer. Cooled seats then perforated in the front like this. This is so good in the whole package, especially now with the recent facelift. Here, what's better that they have more headroom in the front. There in the Tesla Model 3, it's more limited above my head, so that's to me also a fact that would drive me towards the Polestar 2. But then again, you have to think about if you compare this very vehicle as it stands here with the equipment to a long-range Tesla Model 3. The Model 3, for example, like a German price example, is 10,000 euros less expensive. And then it really gets hard to argue for the Polestar 2, of course. One more time onto the motorway. Really nice how you can accelerate out. Wow, I just love this new rear-wheel drive concept. It will still then be now rear-wheel biased when you have the all-wheel drive model, but the rear-wheel drive model itself, just so cool. Here now from 70 kilometers now, let's go. Plop, 120. That's just so nice to have that. So driving-wise, definitely this facelift now is more fun. Some small tweaks here and there, some more standard equipment. Here, by the way, adaptive cruise control is also in there, but it's not a super elaborated semi-autonomous level 2 thing. But that's fine to me, actually. And of course, the big thing here about the increased efficiency. Oh, and there it is. The famous German Autobahn sign for unlimited speed. There we go. 130. 150, 160. Nice acceleration also at higher speeds, and wind noise I feel is also fine to me. Or what do you think? What's your impression here, hearing it over the microphone? And also how stable the car is. There, of course, at higher speeds on the motorway, the rather stiff suspension and also the big wheels, they help them, to give this sporty stability. So that's a good feeling. Again, the compromise that in slow speed and especially like potholes and so on, it might not be as comfortable. Therefore, I always feel Polestar 2 should be bought with the smallest wheels you can get in your market or in your offer each. Well, even if the weather is a little bit worse now, try different speeds also, but no matter what I do, and also if you go for the more, long-term prediction, rather even went a little bit lower, so it really seems that this 500 kilometers plus, so like 530 or kilometers or 330 miles, this is actually just true actually. We had some mix like high speed, normal autobahn speed, some city traffic, and this is just the overall average. Now even a little bit less, so like 14 kilowatt hours in 1 kilometer. So really impressive, these efficiency upgrades. The only question that remains, if it will be also the same in winter temperatures. They do have a heat pump here, at least when you have then also this plus package here. So that is one thing we still have to see. Yeah, and the Tesla Model 3, as I said, I do really like the Polestar 2. The only thing that would drive me to the Model 3 is that it's really lower in the price. You can compare the facelift, or what about the bigger brother, the Polestar 3?